Welcome to our Heritage Reads. This is Being Married by Azizah Idris. Episode 2. The Echo That Came Before Her, read by Hafsat Tilde. Before her story takes flight, theirs quietly unfolded like a soft breeze. Hope held tenderly in silence. A fragile yes whispered gently, and echoes that will shape what was to come. This is just the beginning. Some minutes, which seemed like forever later, the tall one came out to the sandy corridor, covered in a long veil that must have belonged to her mother. Her head was buried entirely under the material. He felt his lips twitch with the beginning of a smile, but hers pricked on his nape with awareness of her father just a few feet away from them, hiding if he kept to his word of being a guard, which Aliyu was sure the old man would. She squatted down about 3 feet away from him. "Good afternoon." "Good afternoon, Dogwa," he said, his voice filled with amusement. "Stop calling me Dogwa. My name is Hawa." He could almost hear her pout. Hawa kulum majada, Barka. How is Mama?" "She is fine." He looked on as she played with the material of her veil. "My name is Aliyu. I saw you yesterday at the Hawa ceremony. Did you write too?" She shook her head and Aliyu chuckled. "Okay, let me give you a little barka de sallah." When he moved his hand forward to give her some money, Hawa shook her head again without looking up. "Thank you, but I don't take gifts from people." Is it Aliyu's gifts that you won't accept?" "Okay, give it to your sister." She still refused to look up. "When are you going?" "Inna is splitting my hair," she said nonchalantly. "Where is your kids and Salah?" "I did not make my hair before Eid. That is why I'm doing it now. Baba asked me to come and greet you. May I go back now?" "She won't make my hair again if I stayed late." "Oh, I am sorry for taking up your time. I will go now, but I will come back after a long while. Can I come before then and greet you again?" She nodded and rose to leave. "Thank you, Dogwa," he said, and watched as she closed her face coyly with both hands. That was the beginning of many visits Aliyu would pay her over the course of time. One evening, a year after his first visit, he went to her frantic and told her his parents were getting him married to his cousin. Hawa had no problem with that, and she didn't know why he was worried about the whole issue to begin with. When he left her that evening, he would only come to her 4 times a year. When the 5th year surged, Aliyu held up to his word. He formally presented his interest in marrying her. For Hawa, she had already begun to pick up hints from him because in the course of his visits, their subjects of discussion had changed over time, from school to friends to family, then eventually back to her. Malam Hamma had no problem with Aliyu, and they were married 2 weeks after her graduation from the secondary school, after all the necessary formalities. Freshly married, head over heels in love and well cared for by her new groom, Hawa had no idea that would only be short-lived. When she first went to his house as his wife, she had attempted several times to ask him where his first wife was, but couldn't until 3 weeks after their wedding, when she got some visitors. 2 women, one a slender black beauty and the other just a bit older but as beautiful. She entertained them after they introduced themselves. "My name is Safiya. I know we haven't met before, but I decided to come today so that we are formally introduced. I am Aliyu's cousin and his former wife." Hawa's smile wavered, but she braved it up and beamed at Safiya. "Auntie Safiya, welcome. He forgot to tell me you were on your way. What would you like to have, please?" And she was on her feet tending to them until she was sure they were good. "Ah, Yaya is lucky to have you as his wife. Congratulations. They left shortly after. The only thought that went to Hawa's mind was how did the marriage end? And the woman seemed so nice. She wouldn't come to congratulate her otherwise. When Aliyu came home, she told him about their visitors. She didn't miss how he went cold at the mention of his ex-wife. Hence, she dropped the issue. Safia would visit her from time to time whenever Aliyu was not home. He had taken her to see his relatives. His elder brother, Hashim, lived in Maiduguri with his family. His 3 younger brothers, Sanusi, Tahir and Mustafa, all lived in Patiskum. A few months after their marriage, Hawa found out that she was expecting. She got too excited. Even though it was the first pregnancy, she couldn't wait for her husband to find out. Hence, she set her announcement plan in motion. And that evening, when he came home, she told him, "I think we should get that room ready. We have a guest arriving." Aliyu squinted his eyes at her, not comprehending her words. "It is coming," she said, tucking her lower lip between her teeth, and when what she said had finally sunk in, Aliyu said, "Are you sure?" She nodded, and right there, she saw a glint of tears in his eyes. The next day, he gifted her with 3 cows, but then, that was when it started. Instead of him to stay home and be excited about the coming baby, Aliyu seemed distanced from her with each passing day. He was an introvert, but his lack of talking increased with each passing second until it reached an extent where he would only talk to her through scribbled notes. She would find notes on the refrigerator or on the center table informing her that he was out. She knew she was in trouble when he left her a note telling her that he had traveled to Lagos. She had waited for 8 days before he returned. She was so happy. She ran to meet him at the door. Aliyu took up his hand and stopped her midway. "Not now, please. I am tired." And that blew her mind away. He was never that dismissive before. She shrugged it off and got his food ready and his bathing water the right temperature. When she found him lying face down on the bed, she wanted to inquire about his condition, but thought otherwise. Hawa went back to their living room and set out to sweep the place. She had a knack for cleaning. The least she would sweep her house was twice a day. On the day they had visitors, she would sweep the house at least 3 times a day. Taking up one side of the couch, she took out the rug beneath it and swept the spot. Earlier in the morning, she was weary and couldn't take the time to clean the room well. Now, the broom tugged at something beneath the rug, and she pulled the object of resistance. Taking it out, she pushed the couch back and held her discovery in her hands, turning it and feeling its weight on her palm. Her eyes darted to their bedroom door, where her husband lay behind the slab of wood. "Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un." The words tumbled out of her mouth effortlessly. A lone tear fell down her cheeks. "What are you into, Sadoki?" She finished her chore and kept her discovery in the bedside drawer. And as the months went by, she had found 7 more of the amulets. She had never spoken to him about it, thinking he would ask her whenever he looked and didn't find them. It was in her 8th month of pregnancy that Aliyu asked her to pack her stuff. He was taking her home for delivery. "But there is still a month to go, and I managed quite all right here." When he didn't respond to her, she said, "Is there something that I'm doing wrong? You are not like this at first, and this side of you really confuses me. Please, tell me my offense so that I rectify it." "Are you through?" Hawa nodded. "Switch off the lights on your way out," he said, and turned on his side. And it went downhill from there. After he took her home, he had not visited her once until he was summoned by Malam Hamma, her father, who they all called Baffa. Thank you for listening to Being Married by Azizah Idris, brought to you by Our Heritage Reads. Every story has roots, and this was only the beginning. Stay with us as the journey unfolds, one chapter at a time. Until next time, may our stories always find their voice.